Awesome. Your background is extraordinary.
Thank you.
So, firstly, thank you for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
Yes, sure. I'm happy to be there.
So, I've gone through your profile and I didn't understood the name of your website.
Tales from the
So,
Line.
yeah, Tales from the Lion. What is it about? And it was very new for me. I was searching the internet and I suddenly uh, your website flashed. So then I thought this is really interesting. So I thought to talk about the person who is the creator of this and who is the reason for this, and to tell about this to my audience and to the world who is watching and following me on different platforms.
Yes, sure. I mean, it's actually not a very interesting secret maybe. My name in German is Löwenberg, which means Lion Hill if you translate it to English. So on the blog page name is Tales from the Lion because it's tales from me. And it basically is stories that I write or things about my life that I write about. So they are all tales from the lion, from the Lion Hill, which is my name.
So before talking about it, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Yes, of course. So my name is Thorsten Löwenberg, and I'm from Germany. I'm deep inside the Black Forest in Germany, and I have been telling stories for about 3 decades now, and just recently decided, okay, I want to write them down because usually I'm telling them orally to my friends and my colleagues. And I decided, hey, why not give writing a shot? So I created the blog to be able to interact with people with my stories. And from there on, I'm now creating longer works. I started with flash fiction and short stories, and I'm now creating longer works. I'm creating novelettes, and I have planned to create a novel beginning of next year. So people have the chance to see my work and to enjoy my stories pretty much as my friends do now. And this is how all of this got born.
So what is your full-time job?
I'm a program manager in an IT company, so I lead projects and programs, and it's pretty much as uncreative as you can get. It's just about you need to figure out what to do and when to do it and how to do it in the right direction and order and in time and in money. So I'm not very creative at work. I'm basically making sure that a lot of money goes into the right hands at the right time. And yeah, that is a good thing to do next to such a job, to have a good contrast between professional life and private life.
Awesome. So actually, I'm an IT guy. I did masters in software engineering and a bachelor's in computer science and engineering. So I'm preparing for AWS solution architect training. So I have a separate technical website where I take interviews of people who are into IT industry, who are into different countries. So it's good to meet an IT person who is doing something other than the professional work.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. I mean, it is a demanding job because you are juggling a lot of topics, and usually we have projects with like 20 teams that need to do stuff. So the end product will work because I'm working in a company that is doing emails for over 20 years, and all of their system has grown from back then when you were like cowboys when you were writing code. And it's a lot of convoluted old legacy systems that you need to deal with, and you are basically juggling people all day long. And in the evening you can do something else, and you can go into an interesting fantasy world and describe stuff happening there.
So this fantasy is your dreams, or you watch movies or you read books, and these thoughts are coming from there.
Yeah, I have been reading since I was like 7. I mean, I got a library card when I was a very young boy, and that was my number one hobby. I mean, back then you didn't have computers, you didn't have a lot of TV, so reading was really the thing to do. And when I got my library card with 7, I just devoured every book I could find in the child section. And once that was all read through, I went to the adult section and started to read those books. And it was always great to have this escape and to have this fantastic journey that you can do. And even back then, I liked spooky stories and horror stories. And first for kids, back later, then I went to stuff from Stephen King and started reading that. And it always fascinated me to have this fantastic, spooky worlds and the adventures that you can have in there. And then the next step for me was role-playing games. When I was like 14, I saw my first TV commercial for a German role-playing game. It's called The Black Eye, which is still going around. It's still updated. And I loved it. The idea was great, just to do that with friends, not only read books on your own, but to play together with friends. And I invited a couple of friends, but they were not as big into it. So our first tries did not end very well. But then a couple of years later, I found Dungeons and Dragons, back then AD&D 2nd edition. And I found a couple of people to play with. And we started small in school. And I'm still playing with some of them. So I'm playing almost 20 years with some of those guys. And we are still meeting every other week and continuing stories. And I did that really for a very long time, mostly as a dungeon master, because then you can tell the stories. And from there it went into writing smaller stories and then longer stories, because writing is a bit different than dungeon mastering. You have to have a different skill set. So I'm now learning that skill set. And I'm so far enjoying it a lot, because dungeon mastering, you always need people with you, and writing you can do on your own. You have your own schedule and you can just write whenever you feel like it.
So you decided to tell the stories through this platform. So before this, you used to tell to your friends the fictional stories that was there in your mind.
Yes.
So I've gone through your website and I saw different pictures and different titles for it.
Yes, because they are all short stories, and I'm just at the moment I'm just writing the stories and putting them on the website for people to enjoy, and it's basically for me to learn, because when I tell stories with my friends, they are long stories. They go for years, and we do them 8 hours at a bit. Every other Saturday we meet for 8 hours and we just tell the story and continue it. But with the writing, I just need to do different things, and I need to try things. So what I found is that flash fiction is very good for that, because you have a short story and you go through the whole process. You think about what you want to write, you write it, you write your first draft, then you write your second draft. So you basically edit it, and you find a picture to put on the blog, which is like a cover for the story. And then you also promote it on the social media channels. And I'm going through all of that process to just learn it, to figure out what works for me, what I like, what I don't like. And the result are the stories on those pages. And some of them are fantastical, some of them are a bit spooky. We are going more into the spooky direction now that it's closer to Halloween. And I also found people to do that with me. So we meet every second Sunday. I meet with a couple of friends and my wife, and we record a YouTube session where we just use a prompt generator to find out what are we writing about. It generates randomly a first line for the story. And then we have 25 minutes. So it's always a hard cut. We have 25 minutes to bang a story out. And we do that to 2 stories an evening. And the end result, a bit polished and with the cover picture, is what you find on the blog then.
You was into programming for a long time, and that was completely into logical thinking. This is something that you're doing that you never did before. So how is this?
It is very interesting. It is hard sometimes to just let the creative side of yourself go, because I'm always overthinking stuff. I analyze and I think about how many words should it be and what should the structure be and should I do plotting. And I had a hard time because I had so many rules. I read tons of books how to write and what to look out for and what you should not do and what you should do. And I was so full of rules that I just was not creative anymore. And that is also something where the flash fiction helped, because you just have 25 minutes. You cannot think about plot structure a lot or about what do I do. You just get a prompt and then you have to go with it. You have to really think about, okay, this is the prompt. What do I want to do with the story? And then you have like 60 seconds to decide, and then you just write and have something creative at the end. And that was really good. And that is a good exercise for me to get out of that logical side of things more into the creative ones. And I like the idea of the writing sprints, because it really forces you to be creative for a short period of time. And once that is done, then you can logically look at what you have created. But for this 25 minutes, I just try to write my first draft and not think about, is it the right word? Is it the right grammar? Should it be like that? I just write it out and I don't delete stuff. I just keep the typos and the grammar errors in there. And I have learned that I can fix all of that in the editing stage later. It's just important to have this creative outburst in the sprint and have that first to work with it later when you start with editing.
You have chosen a different medium to express yourself. Before this, you was a speaker. You are expressing your thoughts and your stories, the short stories that was there in your mind, and the long stories with your friend, with the vocal sound of yours. So this is something different from what you did before. It's a different communicating medium. So how you're feeling now? Because searching words and trying to put exactly the fictional story that is there in your mind, collecting the exact words that you want, and you have a lot of time before this. When you was a speaker, you have very less time to express and create impact in the listener. So now you are doing this for the reader, so which where you have a lot of time to think and write. So how is this way of expressing yourself?
Yeah, it's a lot different. This is actually the thing I struggled most with when I went to the new medium, because when you tell stories, you can do a lot with your voice. You can speak louder or softer, or you can mimic the voice of the characters when you speak as them, and you can also watch your audience and see how they react. I mean, if you have the feeling that you're dragging it on too long and they start to look a little bit bored, you can tighten the pace, you can speed up and throw in another wrench into the story just to make it more interesting for them. And all of that feedback, both from you by expressing yourself in the voice, and also by them when you read them and see what they look like and what they do and how they react to the story, this is completely missing when you're writing. And that was something I was really struggling with, because I was relying on those cues to tell the best story I can for that audience. And now my audience is unknown and a much wider audience, and I cannot tailor the story as well to those people who read my stuff. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm generating a reader in my head where I think, okay, this is the person I would tell this story to. And then I pretend when I write it that I watch this guy read the story and see how he reacts. Is he getting bored at some point? Is he getting excited? And then I just choose my words to replace those cues that I can do with my voice. And I'm trying to do it as well as I can, but I feel challenged by it, because it is a completely different medium to have the vocal story or the written story. And that is also one of the interesting parts with the flash fiction, because you can try a lot of stuff. It is short and you can try a lot of things. And when you give it to people, you get a feedback really quickly. And it helps me to grow as a writing writer or as a writing storyteller. Instead of just an oral one who's telling the story and who can see his audience and see how they will react to it.
So tell me about the observation of the observers of your story, who received you as a storyteller through speaking medium, and now they are receiving you through this medium as from writing medium. So what is the difference that they are telling to you about the way of expressions of yours through two different platforms?
Yeah, so if I talk about the same people who know me telling stories and who know me writing stories, they say that the that the dialogue is not as sharp in the written stories as it is when I talk the dialogue. Because when I talk the dialogue, I just use voices. I do a different voice for the male people. I do a different voice for the female people, and I can show anger and excitement just by the voice. I don't need to choose the correct words. And this is something that loses a bit when I'm using the written form, because I'm not trained in it. I don't have the tools yet to express the dialogue as fresh and vivid as it would be if I would tell it to somebody. So that is an interesting feedback for me, because I'm using the same words. So what they say remains the same, but the whole description of how this person behaves when they tell or when they talk is different on the written side than on the spoken side. And that is something I need to work on for the future.
So tell me about the time that you are taking, because two different mediums needs two different time to tell the imagination, the story that you have. So
Yeah.
tell me about the time.
Okay, so the preparation time I do for the role-playing stories is about 2 to 3 hours for 4 to 5 hours of play. Because what I'm doing is basically I'm plotting a story, a rough draft, because as they are playing inside of that story, they have the possibility to change it from what I originally envisioned. So I cannot really plot it out in a perfect way and then just deliver it. It's more of playing together and creating a story together. So I'm drafting rough plot points where I want the whole story to go, and then I'm free forming, reacting on what they are doing during the evening. So I have to change the story on the fly and have to make sure that it's all fitting. And the preparation time is basically just imagining, where could this whole thing go? What are the plot points I need definitely to have? And how can I bring the players through those plot points without having them feel too constricted that they have no choice? So they always need to have the feeling of free choice, but still have to go into a rough direction of where I want the story to go. So yeah, 4 to 5 hours of play takes 3 to 4 hours of preparation. For the written story, as I'm currently focusing on the flash fiction, I write the first draft of the flash fiction in 25 minutes. We do that in the meetings we have on the Sunday evenings, where we write 2 stories. So first draft is about 25 minutes, and then the work until it's on the block is about 1 to 1.5 hours more to go through several drafts to find the right picture. So for the flash fictions, I write the first draft in 25 minutes. We do that on Sundays. When we have this flash fiction Sunday, we create 2 flash fictions. Each takes 25 minutes. We use a writing prompt to start the story, and the first draft takes 25 minutes. And then until it's on the block, it takes about 1.5 more hours for editing and finding the correct picture, putting it on the block, formatting it on the block, and then publishing it. So you can say all in all, it takes about 2 hours from the writing prompt until the time that it is on the block. And for the longer story that I'm currently writing, it's 12,000 words, and I wrote the first draft in 1 week. And I'm now editing it with the speed of about an hour per 1,000 words. And once I'm done with editing, I will give it to alpha and beta readers to see if the story is good, and then do a second and maybe even a third edit draft. And also I will look for a cover to release that on the blog with a bit more, or with a bit nicer cover than just the block image. So you can say roughly for the whole story, 20 to 30 hours until it is done.
So 5,000 words, what is it about?
So the story I'm currently writing, it's 12,000 words, and it's about a firefighter who lost his wife to a serial arsonist, and he's trying to find this arsonist and to bring him to justice. And he's not having a very good time because he cannot find this man. And a friend of him, he offers him a drug to take, and he takes this drug, and the drug transports him into a fantasy-like world. And in this fantasy-like world, he meets a woman who's the spitting image of his wife, and she is under the threat to be burned on the stake by the Baron, because the Baron of this world thinks she might be a witch. So he has now to decide, Does he concentrate on finding the killer of his wife in the real world, or does he prevent this other woman who looks like his wife in the fantasy world from being burned by the Baron?
It sounds really interesting. So where this imagination came from?
I had the idea for this story when I saw Johnny Cash's music video for the song "Hurt." I don't know if you know that one. And I thought about what would it be like to take drugs and to lose everybody around you? And then the idea came, what if he has to take this drug to save somebody he loves, even though he knows it hurts him? And this is that was the idea of the premise for this story. And then everything else came from that.
So connecting with a machine called computer, connecting with human beings, with the language, with the human language. So how this, you are into two. So how is this now?
Well, it is interesting to talk to people about writing, because the community on Twitter and also the people I met who are in the English-speaking community about writing, they are a lot of different than Germans. So Germans are a lot different in the culture. We are a land of poets, people say, but there is this idea that a German needs to be a poet just out of thin air. So the cosmos makes you into a good poet, and you either have it or not. And people in the English language community, they are a lot different. They think it's a skill that you can learn. And even if you have been doing something like programming or project managing for your whole life, they still think it's a skill you can acquire, which I really like, because otherwise I would be stuck with project management if I believed the German version. And I rather believe the English one, where we say, okay, we can learn it, we can together improve ourselves, and that is a much better philosophy for me. And also I really like to come together with people and talk about writing and be inspired by them or inspire them. That is a really, really great thing to do.
So what is the response that you got for the short stories that you have already published?
Yeah, actually not a lot. I didn't get a lot of response from people I do not know. I get response from people that I already know, that I gave the blog to, that are reading the blog, and they all like the stories, and they always say, we want to have the bigger version of that story. This is just 2 pages. Where's the rest? That's what I usually get. And well, some of them I might write a longer story out of. But so far they like the stories, or they don't say anything at all about them.
Like you said, German is a place where the poetry, the poems are named for. So the poet from you came out in this time. Can I say that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a great chance to be poetic and to be creative, and it's a great world to do this. I mean, look at what we are doing. We are chatting over thousands of miles difference, and we met on the internet. So this is awesome. I mean, this was in my youth, that just wasn't possible. I mean, you maybe wrote somebody a letter if you somehow found out about him, but that thing was on its way for a week or so till it arrived, and now you can just talk to people all over the world, and you can connect with people all over the world who have the same interests. And this is just great. I mean, this is amazing. For me, this is not for granted, because I have seen how it was before this all came. So I'm really cherishing that we have that now, and that we can meet people all over the world and talk to them. This is just awesome.
So at last, do you have anything to say to my audience about the work that you are doing?
Well, if you like short stories, and if you like to have interesting ideas and mind games brought to you, then give my short stories a read. They all aim to give you a good time, even if that good time is very short, because the stories don't take long. But then you don't have to invest a lot of time to read my stories. So give them a try, see if you like them. And if you like them, there will be a new story every Sunday. So you can read new things from me every weekend.
So at last, I will put your website link in the description of this video. People who finds our video on YouTube can see the work that you're doing and can able to read what your imagination is, not what a programmer can write and what a programmer can think who is living in Germany and what his imagination is.
Yeah, super. I'm very thankful that you're doing this, and I'm looking forward to having new readers, hopefully.
Yeah, I will read and I will give you feedback.
Super. Thank you very much.
So, at last, have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube? What do you say about it?
I haven't actually. I didn't want to be what is it, predisposed to anything that I saw before, so I haven't seen any yet, but send me the link and I will definitely take a look.
So, generally, what do you say? I did interviews of the people who are into different, as a IT guy, I've completed masters in software engineering recently, last year. Now, I understood the computer networks in my syllabus. After understanding computer networks, connecting with one computer with other computer, information transfer, and the mediums, routers, all these connecting devices, understanding all this technical stuff. I thought to understand the human being uh, 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 who created this. I thought to understand why the necessity of technology, the connecting, why these communication mediums are there, why this human being created this technology, and why he's connecting, what is the reason he created this. I want to understand human connectivity before understanding computer connectivity. So that's why the reason I started connecting. From last year I did like 500 plus uh, interviews for completely random people in the internet, and trying to connect with them and trying to establish connection with them, and it worked. So as a person who was into technology, and now who is trying to express your point of view, your views, and your thoughts about your stories through your medium. So what is your observation about this, general observation?
Well, it is a great thing, and I really like your idea, because in the end, all of that technology, it just aims to connect us. I mean, it is a necessity to ensure that we can talk to each other and that we can do all the cool things that we can do now. But in the end, uh, it is a two-sided sword. One is we can connect with everybody and we can talk with everybody. But the second thing is we might also get discouraged because we see all facets of human life, the good and the bad, unfiltered sometimes, and that can be discouraging or even frightening. So I think people should try to concentrate on the good sides that we have with social media and with connecting with people all over the world, and they should try to focus on meeting people that they connect with, that give them a good vibe, and where they get a good feeling from, because that is a possibility we just didn't have in the past. And for me, who's also still new to this, I mean, I'm doing this intensively since June this year, so I'm still a babe. What all of that is all about. I think it is a great opportunity, but like every opportunity, it also has its shadow side. So concentrate on the good things, concentrate on the good people you meet. Don't drown in the negativity that's also there a lot. Take the best away for you, and that will make you a better person in the end of the day. And that is what talking to other humans is all about. We want to belong. We want to be a good person. We want to have a good time with others. And you can have all of that with the internet and all its possibilities. But you need to focus on that and not on feeling lonely, feeling disconnected, feeling hated, or whatever comes the other side. Ignore that and focus on the good sides, because I think that is what connecting with others is all about. Finding the people who empower you and better you, and have a good time with them.
So I'll keep your words in my mind, and definitely create it created impact in my thinking, on my thinking. So also people who are watching this, they will put the words that you said in their minds while using this technology. So thank you very much, sir. Keep going, keep doing what you love, and I'm sure your work makes a lot of people to develop their skills. At the same time, your stories will make some change in their life in a positive way.
Great. And you have a great evening and talk to you soon.
Yeah. Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yes, of course.
And also, can I put this video on my podcast, website, social media, internet, everywhere with your permission?
Yes, sure, you can.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.